Have you ever walked past a bakery and that incredible smell just hits you? That warm, sweet, gotta go in smell.
Oh, absolutely. It's irresistible.
It's like a superpower bakeries have. But, behind all those tempting treats, there's this whole other side, the waste.
It's true. And it's something that's thankfully getting more and more attention these days, the environmental impact of the food industry.
Yeah. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. All those flour bags and used oil and, oh man, the day-old pastries. It adds up fast.
It really does. And that's where a company like GreenFlow Environmental Solutions comes in, trying to make a real difference.
Greenflow, right. Their slogan immediately caught my eye. Eco-friendly solutions for baking and confectionery waste disposal.
It's very on point for what they do. And it's not just talk either. They've got this cool initiative where they plant a tree for every partnership.
Okay, that's awesome. So they're really putting their money where their mouth is on sustainability. But let's dig into what they actually do. What are they offering these bakeries?
Well, one of the things that stands out to me is their emphasis on tailored solutions. They recognize that every bakery is different.
Oh, that makes sense. A tiny bakery down the street versus some huge industrial operation, they're not going to have the same waste situation.
Exactly. It's not one size fits all. A small bakery might have more varied waste ingredients, handcrafted stuff. Big factories might be churning out tons of just one thing, which creates a whole other problem.
Right, like a mountain of croissant crumbs or something. So how does Greenflow handle that? They just come up with different solutions depending on the bakery.
Pretty much. They outline a bunch of benefits.
Hmm.
And it's more than just tossing stuff in the right recycling bin. They're big on what they call sustainable disposal.
Which I'm guessing means keeping stuff out of landfills as much as possible.
You got it.
Yeah.
Less waste overall. But there's more to it. One that caught my eye was this organic waste recycling thing they mentioned.
Turning bakery leftovers into something useful? Tell me more, because now we're talking.
Yeah, so we're talking stale bread, cake trimmings, stuff that would normally be chucked in the bin. Instead, it's becoming a resource.
Oh, okay, that's so cool. So they're not just throwing it all in a giant compost heap. Although I guess composting is part of it, right?
It is. It's a big part of what they do, actually. I mean, imagine turning those leftovers into compost, then using that to grow more ingredients.
Whoa, that's like the circle of life, but for croissants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But composting is not the only way. They've got different methods depending on the bakery and what kind of waste they're dealing with.
Okay, so how do they figure all that out? Is there some kind of Greenflow master plan they bring to every bakery?
Well, they have this four-step process overview they lay out.
Mhm.
It all starts with what they call a waste assessment, where they really get into the nitty-gritty of a bakery's trash.
So no two bakeries are the same, so their trash isn't either,
So
right?
exactly. Each bakery is going to have its own, waste personality, and that first step's all about figuring that out.
Okay, so that makes sense. Analyze the problem before you try to solve it. So then what? What happens after they've done their trash inspection?
Then they put together what they call a custom waste plan, basically a personalized roadmap for each bakery to deal with its waste. It's pretty cool, actually.
So it's like bakery A, you've got a serious bagel scrap situation. Here's how we're going to tackle it.
You got it. And then comes the really interesting part, eco-friendly waste processing, which is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
So is that where they bring in the compost bins or whatever? What does that look like in action?
It can be a whole bunch of things. They might set up on-site composting, but they also partner with places that do anaerobic digestion.
Anaerobic what now?
It's kind of wild. They basically use microorganisms to break down food waste without oxygen. And that process can actually generate energy.
Whoa. Okay, that's some next level stuff. But this is all great for the planet, obviously. But what's in it for the bakeries? Are they just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts?
There's definitely that aspect to it, but GreenFlow also highlights a couple of big benefits for the businesses themselves, like regulatory compliance is a big one.
Ah, right, because dealing with all those environmental regulations can be a nightmare, I bet.
Exactly. GreenFlow takes care of all that, which is huge. But here's the kicker. They also talk about cost-effective management.
Wait, hold on. Going green can actually save bakeries money. How does that work?
It's all about efficiency. By cutting down on waste in the first place, they're saving money on ingredients and disposal fees. Plus, like I said, some of these methods, like that anaerobic digestion thing, can actually generate revenue. It's a win-win.
This is honestly making me rethink my whole relationship with pastries. It's not just about satisfying my sweet tooth anymore. It's about supporting businesses doing the right thing.
I love that. And it shows how our choices as consumers can really influence the industry.
Totally. But that makes me think, what about those of us who, bake at home? It's true, we always talk about like grocery shopping and restaurants, but our own kitchens, they're like mini wastelands sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. But even small changes can add up. Composting at home, being smart about portions.
Oh, and don't even get me started on those baking fails. The loaf that wouldn't rise, the cookies that spread too thin.
Happens to the best of us.
Huh.
But that's where that home composting comes in handy, turning those mistakes into something good.
See, everything comes back to composting. But speaking of full circle, let's loop back to GreenFlow and that whole tree planting thing.
Right, planting a tree for every partnership. I mean, it's a nice touch, but it also kind of says a lot about their overall philosophy.
Totally. Like they're thinking big picture. Trees are good for everyone,
Yeah.
right? It's not just about like, let's help bakeries recycle their donut scraps.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even something as simple as baking is part of this bigger system, a sustainable food system for everyone.
That's what I'm loving about this whole deep dive. It's like, yeah, the planet's got problems, but people are out there finding creative solutions.
Absolutely. GreenFlow is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And it shows that our choices as consumers actually matter. We can support the businesses that align with our values.
Right. And maybe next time we bite into a cookie or croissant, we can like take a second to appreciate where it came from and how it was made.
A little more mindfulness goes a long way.
Totally. So if you're listening and you want to learn more about GreenFlow and all the cool stuff they're doing, we'll have links in the show notes. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, move a look.
Until next time, everyone, happy baking. And remember, every little bit helps.